Alright, it was so hot all summer long. I spent most of the summer hiding in my basement, and now it's cool enough to get outside and start doing some of the chores that I should have done probably 2 months ago. So you can see my shrubs in front of the house, actually all around the house, were just so overgrown. I'm just doing a quick trim job on them, and not the prettiest job in the world, but I think I should have done it a couple months ago. I've never cut this much off them before, so I'm just doing a quick 50-foot job on them that'll look good from 50 foot away. But it's one of those things that you have to do every year, and usually it's not this hot out, and you can get out there in the morning and do it. But it's just been miserable all summer, and we've had the AC on. So these are, just some of the little catch-up jobs that I'm showing you here to start out with. Things that you have to do, but and if you put them off too long, the shrubs just don't look good at all. So I got the first one there all cleaned up, and time to go over and just hit the other one here. I'm not sure if it's good to take that much off a shrub, but you can see from 50 foot away it doesn't look bad. And this one little tree in the corner here still has some damage from when we did the electrical work a couple of years ago. And that mungo there is going soon, and that tree there I hate. I'll talk about it later. And there's another one that I've got to trim. And you can see the house, I never got around to washing the siding or anything this year either. But I'm just going to take a walk over to the apple trees on the side here. And you can see exactly what the deer have been doing to them. I blocked the fence. I made it higher so they wouldn't get in the garden. And they've been over here every night eating the trees. The bottom halves of all these trees are gone. Luckily, they're not eating the apples yet. You can see the apples. Some of them don't look too bad. Like these are Fuji's, and they survived pretty good with no spray or anything. There's quite a few good ones. But then you go over here, and this is some of the old-fashioned apples. Those are like Granny Smiths there, and these are like some of the real old ones. And the bugs and diseases did take a toll on them, so maybe next year I'll have to spray them. So getting back over to shape that last shrub up there a little bit. Try to make it kind of round like it was. When you let them get this far out of control, you really do have to do a lot of hacking. And on back here, I thought I'd show you, there's the input for my root cellar. You can see I've got I made a really fine stainless steel screen to keep bugs out. And the output above there actually has a screen in the pipe to keep them out too. Plus a cap that can go on it. So now it's over to this bush, and I'm allergic to this thing for some reason. Whenever I trim it, I get the pollen comes off of it, and it just burns my eyes so bad and just makes me cry. But before I'm done, I'm just miserable. But you got to do it, and I don't know what it is. It's something in just this one bush. I've never had a problem with any other kind of trees or anything. So whatever it is, it's miserable and takes me a while to clean it up. Sometimes I start it and then I have to walk away for a while before I can finish it. So now I got them mostly done, and clean the stuff up, load it in the back of the golf cart, and have to take a trip down and dump it. And I figured here I'm going by the garden. You can see it's like a forest of sunflowers there. And then I'm just going to go over here down into the woods here and dump all the trimmings from the hedge. So if we take a little ride across the backyard, you can see it's one spot in our yard where we've got all these maple trees actually they're my maple syrup trees. It stays pretty cool usually. We get a nice breeze there, and it's about the only place in the yard that stays cool. And then I just have a big pile down here in the woods that I dump all the clippings and tree trimmings and stuff. And yeah, it's full of, the animals really love it. You get all kinds of birds' nests in there, and the little chipmunks and squirrels and stuff all live in there. So I just figure it's the best way to get rid of this stuff. Just keep it in one pile, and the animals love it. Then this is back up to the garden, and just so happens that there's digging all around the edge of the garden, and it looks like something's been eating the soybeans. and you can see there's holes. Something tried to dig its way out. It looks like a woodchuck climbed over that pile of wood, got in the garden, and then it realized it couldn't get out. All around the edge, there's all kinds of digging, but I had put down plastic with fencing under it, stuff like that. And somehow it got out. And from what I could tell, it looks like it must have jumped over that bench, climbed over that bench, and you could see some spot in the gravel out there where it landed. So that only happened once, good thing. And see, I'm starting to pull some of the tomatoes out, and those marigolds are just spectacular. I mean, the whole garden is full of them, and sunflowers are coming in. For some reason, the sunflowers are wrong along the back. That pack of seeds was wrong seeds, and these are what they were supposed to be. You can see the pack that I used going up the side there are those real fluffy ones. I'll show you some better pictures later. But there's my giant marigolds, and I got a couple of them that are really big, and everything's kind of winding down now except for the peppers. For some reason, those things just don't want to stop. I mean, we've roasted them, we've made red pepper spread, we've sausage and peppers. No matter how many we pick, you go out the next day and there's twice as many out there. It's just kind of crazy this year. We've never had a year for peppers like this. And I don't even know what I'm going to do with them. I probably have an extra 100 pounds of red peppers there now to deal with. And the okra has been doing good, so soaking the seeds really helped get them started, and gave them a real good start early on so they could enjoy the warm weather. And a couple days later, you can see the soy is starting to come back, and these are the edamames. These are Black Panther edamames that we really like. So we're starting to use them up. And then I'm just going to walk up by the butternut. You can see the vines are starting to die back now. And I can't believe how many butternuts are there. We didn't really put a lot of water on them. We did early in the season, and then later on they were kind of really dry out there. But it's really amazing just how many are there. And there you can see my sunflower trees. They're just like all 12 feet tall and taller. It's just pretty amazing. So a couple hours later, my eyes are all cleared up when I can go back and finish working on that tree. And I did grab some of those giant marigold tree blooms that were kind of dried out and stuff, and I'm saving the seeds here. And these marigolds just have such a perfect way of growing the seeds, and it's such a nice little pot of seeds in there. You can see just hundreds of them, nice and tightly packed and protected from the weather. So a couple minutes later, I've got probably $500 worth of these marigold tree seeds. So that only took a minute. And every trip down to the garden, we bring something back up with the golf cart. There's some edamames that are going in the stir fry tonight, and some peppers for the freezer, and starting to get a lot of these butternuts now, and got a bunch of them dried out here. They've been hardened off, ready to go into the root cellar, and there's what I picked today. And then I noticed some smut on my strawberry popcorn. I've never seen that on strawberry popcorn before. So there's when I first noticed it, and it pretty gross looking, but I understand some people actually eat this stuff. And there you can see the sunflowers are really starting to come in now around the garden there. And these are the ones that I expected all of those seeds to be, but it turned out the ones across the back weren't. But, now I'll have plenty of seeds next year that I know are going to be right. So, this whole fence here will be filled in another couple days with nothing but sunflowers. And the ones up in the garden, they're all big and tall, but they're starting to die back now. And it's just all these marigolds. I'm starting to pull some of them out now, but they did really great this year. So you can see the garden's really winding down, and here's a couple days later what that smut grew into. It's just like amazing. Look at the size of that stuff. Just wish I knew what to do with it. And then there's one bin of carrots. I decided to start pulling them out. They didn't do so great. I mean, we've been pulling them and thinning them and eating them all summer, but I I never got them really thinned out enough, and I think that we just didn't put enough water on them to get a lot of really large carrots out of it. So I decided I'm just going to pull them out and bring them up in the house, and we'll clean them up and put them in the fridge. They'll stay till next spring. So you can see some of them are they're decent size, but they're really not big this year. But they are definitely really super sweet. So, we did get a good batch out of that bin there. And the good thing about carrots is you just clean them up and they stay in the refrigerator for probably till next Easter. They'll stay. Now you can see I didn't get them all thinned properly either, so I'm just pulling out hands full of them there. A lot of them are small, but they're still tasty and sweet and tender. If you leave them in the ground too much longer, sometimes the raccoons come along and they start digging them up and pulling them out. And, they can destroy a whole bed like this in no time. So I figured I'd at least start with this one bed here. And you can see the dirt's got a little bit hard from all the dryness this summer too. So it's just, a bunch of little things to do before the days get too short here. And I filled up the one basket and just had to go out and grab another basket there to pull them out. And you can see these raised beds are, really just about the perfect size for our needs. One bed there gives us plenty of carrots for basically the whole year by the time we get done. And you can see here's a couple days later and the soybeans are coming back and we're still picking a lot. And okra is still doing good, but the leaves are actually starting to fall off now as we're getting some cooler weather. And here's another bin of carrots in the back, and I put a little bit more water on these while they were growing. And you can see some of these are bigger, but I'm not going to pull them all out right now. I just grabbed a couple. And then I always plant these pole beans in there for the Japanese beetles to eat because they really like them if they come. And this year we had 3 Japanese beetles, so I get to eat the pole beans this year. It was kind of a strange year that, we didn't have all the beetles again. 2 years in a row. And then it's time to pick some of the Anaheim peppers. Now, these peppers really did come out warm this year. I think this dry weather must have made them a little bit hotter, put a little more heat in them. So I'm just going to throw them in the freezer for chili. And, this is another load that I got in the back of the golf cart while I'm down there. So that's been a really big help for. And there they are ready to go into the freezer. And my wife yelled, "Come here." And she was outside cleaning the carrots and she found this in the carrot stems of praying mantis. So I let it crawl up her arm for a couple of seconds there, take a video of it while she was holding it, and then put it over on the tree. And we didn't realize, but there was a grasshopper sitting right there. It's kind of hard to see, but right if you look real hard, right where I've got this little thing pointing, you'll see there's a grasshopper that the praying mantis started stalking immediately. And it's starting to go after it, and there it goes. It just jumped. I don't know if you saw that or not. Oh, there goes the grasshopper. So the praying mantis, I think before the day was over, he might have eaten grasshopper for dinner. So he made out good in the end. And here's the carrots that are cleaned up, ready to go down in the fridge. So we did get a couple bags full of them in the end. And they're all real tasty and sweet. And these are those peppers. I flash froze them and then put them in bags and put them in the freezer, and each bag is the size for a pot of chili. And we had some really nasty rains, and I'm out between the rains here picking my habanadas. I decided I was going to pickle another batch of them because we really love these things pickled, and we use them on sandwiches. And you can see I have 4 plants of them in the bin there, and they're just loaded with the habanadas. It was really crazy for peppers this year. And they finally started turning red, so I started picking them. And I picked a half bushel there in the basket, figured that was enough. And there was another half bushel of green ones left on those 4 plants. It was just amazing. And here's my pile of gourds on the table up by the house. It's sitting up there drying. And, you know, I bought one gourd last year at a farm market, and I saved the seeds out of it. And all these different varieties came out of the seeds from one gourd. I just couldn't believe it. It must cross-pollinate with everything in the garden. And then I'm cleaning the habanadas to pickle them. And this year I actually took the seeds out because I didn't like them on a sandwich with the seeds. So, you know, they're all done and ready to go down in the root cellar. And got my labels all made up. And, you know, we've just been so busy with a little bit of this and a little bit of that, trying to clean everything up now. And then my wife took some of that lavender she had drying, and she took an old towel and got some rice and made a lavender pillow that you put in the microwave. It's like a heating pad. So that's, you know, one of the things she did with the lavender. And, you know, here's just another load of some pumpkins and gourds and butternuts and stuff. So you see the root cellar is filling up and starting to get some gourds in the house and stuff like that. And, of course, I've got to show you some crabapple smoked ribs that I did on the grill during this period. And, you know, so I just thought I'd do a quick update of what's been going on the last 2 weeks or so, and just show you about the state that everything's in now. And you can see the sunflowers are all starting to die back, but, you know, they all did good, and the birds loved them. And I've got enough marigold seeds here for the whole world for giant marigolds. And we did have a nice little visitor there, but they're really good for, you know, eating a lot of bugs. And it just really amazes me that I started with one gourd, the seeds from it, and I got all these different colors and varieties out of it. You know, it's just kind of hard to believe it. They must cross-pollinate with everything else in the garden really easy. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.